about the Rutherford's atomic model, and we have seen that Rutherford is having some drawbacks are there. So again, to rectify the drawbacks, Bohr's theory is shifting from the classical physics to the quantum physics. Bohr's theory is now using the quantum mechanics. That means the energy is quantized. It's not a continuous thing, but it is quantized. So, my dear friends, let us now see the postulates given by Niels Bohr. So, the first postulate states that Rutherford and Bohr are very nearly equal. Just slight changes are there, slight development is there. So, Niels Bohr also told the same thing. At the center, the nucleus is there, and the electrons are moving around the nucleus in circular orbits. And my dear friends, in this particular case, what Niels Bohr have given the numbering to the orbits 1, 2, 3, 4, or he has already he has given like that K, L, M, N. You can either call them in any name, anyway. K shell, L shell, M shell, N shell. Means the numbering was given, and Niels Bohr has told that, see, this is a very important thing, as long as an electron is moving, in a particular stationary shell, that electron neither gains the energy nor it loses the energy. This is very important. See, as long as an electron is moving in a stationary shell, these shells he called as stationary shells. So the electron will neither lose energy nor it will gain the energy. My dear friends, these shells are called the stationary shells. Here, if you take this particular shell which is near to the nucleus is having less energy. The energy of this shell is E1. The energy of this is E2, E3, E4. What you are saying is, as you are going away from the nucleus, the energy of the orbit is increasing. The energy of this particular orbit is more compared to this particular orbit. So, my dear friends, as long as an electron is moving in its own orbit, in its stationary shell, it neither loses energy nor it gains energy. I think now this point is also clear for you. The first point is, electron always goes around the nucleus in a circular path, and these circular paths are given the numbers as 1, 2, 3, 4 or K, L, M, N like that. And second thing is, these orbits we call them as stationary shells or stationary orbits. Orbit is nothing but the path in which the electron moves is called the orbit. That is called orbit. For example, a planet is moving around the sun in a particular path. That path we call as the orbit of the planet. Similarly, this is the orbit. So, first orbit or second orbit, these are called stationary shells because, again I am repeating this a number of times. Please try to remember, my dear friends. So, now this point is very clear about the stationary shells. So, the electron neither loses nor gains the energy as long as it moves in a particular stationary shell. Now, there is another point. Next point. Let us go to the next point. My dear friends, if I am just trying to give an example, I am trying to tell you about see, when an electron is absorbing energy, it absorbs energy in the form of photons. It absorbs energy. For example, let us take one example. An electron is revolving in a third shell, and you have supplied some amount of energy to it. E is equal to h nu. You have supplied some amount of energy. Some amount of energy which is equal to the difference of these energies levels. You have supplied amount of energy which is equal to E4 minus E3. That much amount of energy you have supplied to this particular electron. Now, this electron will absorb that energy and it will jump to the next orbit because now it is having more energy. Now it is just going from this the ground state, the original state where the electron is, that is called the ground state. From the ground state, it is going to the excited state. This is called the excited state. So it is absorbing the energy and it is shifting from the ground state to the excited state. Means when it absorbs energy which is equal to the difference of the two energy levels, then it just jumps into the excited state. That is a E4. That is the fourth orbit. But my dear friends, the electron will not stay there for a long time. It stays there only for a time of 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds. Very small time. And again it comes back. And again it comes back. Again when it is coming back, previously it absorbed that much of energy to go there. Now when it is coming back, it gave out that much of energy. It emitted that much of energy. Now the energy is given out. Previously, while it is going from the ground state to the excited state, it absorbed. It has taken, it received. Now when it is coming back from the excited state to the ground state, this is called de-excitation. There it will not stay for a long time. Only it stays there only for a very short time. 10 to the power of minus 8 seconds, which is very short time. And again it is coming back by giving out that much of energy. So now it is emitting energy. My dear friends, this process is called de-excitation. Going is called excitation. Coming back is called de-excitation. When it is coming back, again it is emitting the same amount of energy, E4 minus E3 is being given out by the electron and came to the ground state. Again it is coming to the ground state. I think now you understood the meaning of excitation and de-excitation and how they, for example, you have supplied, the electron is moving, is revolving. In the second orbit, you have supplied an energy equal to E4 minus E2. You have supplied more amount of energy now. The energy given is more now. Now this electron, because you have given more energy, now it is now coming to the excited state. Again coming here because it is having more energy, you have given tremendous energy. But it doesn't stay with. This is called excitation. But again when it is going back, it is again giving back that energy and goes back. Called de-excitation. How much energy it is giving? Again the same amount of energy it gives when again it moves from E4 to E2. I think now you understand. So this process is called, now when the amount of energy it is emitting, the amount of energy it is emitting is in the wavelength, its wavelength and its frequency is suitable, is there in the visible spectrum. It emits the light. Sometimes it emits heat. Sometimes it emits the energy which is visible for you, you can see that. So I think now you understood. The emitting energy may be in the form of light or maybe in the form of heat. And my dear friends, now you understood what is the meaning of excitation, what is the ground state, what is de-excitation. Now my dear friends, this is a very important thing. Next, let us see the next point. If you take, there is a gap between the first orbit and the second orbit. So we can draw n number of orbits in between. N number of orbits can be drawn. But electron will not take all the orbits. See, in between this space you can have n number of orbits. But electron will not occupy all the orbits. But it occupies only those orbits. This is called quantization of orbits. See, it will not take all the orbits. For example, here in between this gap you can draw n number of orbits. But electron will not take all. It will take only few orbits. It takes only few particular orbits. This is called the quantization of the orbits, and that is nothing but it selects those orbits where the angular momentum is equal to, the angular momentum, the formula for the angular momentum is mvr, where m is the mass of the electron, v is the velocity and r is the radius of the orbit, is equal to an integral multiple of, integer means it takes a positive 1.1, 1.2, those numbers are not, cannot be taken. They are positive integers, N stands for that. So, only those orbits are selected in such a way that the angular momentum MVR is equal to an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. So, this is a postulate. These are the postulates what Bohr has given. So, my dear friends, this is once again I am telling you, only those orbits are selected for which the angular momentum MVR is equal to n into h by 2 pi. Again for this, again there is a big reason for that. Again we will go for a detailed explanation later. But now please try to learn these postulates. This is very important. One thing is, always the electrons go in a circular path and their numbers are given as 1, 2, 3, 4. That is nothing but a principal quantum number, or they are even named as KLMN. And as long as one particular electron is moving in a particular orbit, it neither gains energy nor it loses energy. So those orbits are called the stationary shells or the stationary state or the stationary orbits. And when an electron is absorbing energy which is equal to the difference of the energy levels, it jumps to the next orbit which is called the excitation, and when it comes back, it again gives back the energy which is called de-excitation. So now you understood what is the meaning of excitation and de-excitation, which is equal to the energy equal to the difference of the energy levels. And the next thing is, it will not take, the electron will not occupy all the orbits, it occupies only those orbits where that's called the quantization of the orbits, where the angular momentum of the electron is equal to nh by 2 pi, where n is an integer, a positive integer. So with this we have discussed about the Bohr's atomic theory. We have already been discussing about the postulates of the Bohr's theory. Now we are having a discussion about the drawbacks of the Bohr's theory. Previously, when Rutherford was giving an explanation about the Rutherford's atomic theory, he could not explain the spectrum, the formation of the spectrum. That is one of the main drawbacks. But in this particular case, Niels Bohr could explain the spectral line, but he could explain the spectral line for an atom having only one electron in it. For example, hydrogen is having only one electron. Helium is having two electrons are there. But if you remove one electron, it is getting one positive charge. Means He plus is having only one electron. Lithium is actually having 3 electrons. But if you remove 2 electrons, it is getting 2 positive charges because you are removing 2 electrons. Means finally it is having only 1 electron. So, Bohr could explain the spectral lines for the atom having only 1 electron in it. So, he could not explain the spectral lines for the atoms having more than 1 electron. That is a problem. He could explain the electron only selects those orbits whose angular momentum is an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. But the reason behind it, why? If a question is asked why, there is no clear answer given by Niels Bohr. Why? What is the reason behind it? Could not be clearly explained by Niels Bohr, so this also is one of the drawbacks. And again, he could not give an explanation for the formation of the chemical bonds, formation of an ionic bond, formation of the covalent bond, why the bonds are formed, what are the reasons behind it. He could not give an explanation behind formation of the chemical bonds. So in that way, this model, though this model is better compared to the Rutherford's model, it's a step of improvement is there, but it could not give the complete explanation for all the questions asked. So this model is having some drawbacks. So these are the drawbacks of the Bohr's atomic theory. Thank you.